I understand that you have a concept for a new kind of film. Would you like to explain in more detail exactly what you have in mind with this new medium?
I guess the the way it's coming to me at the moment is somehow we need to remember Gaia, that is, reconnect, and also pay attention to Gaia. In fact, find our roots. In fact, even become more indigenous in the way the indigenous peoples once were, and in some degree still are. The film essentially is a reflection and runs in parallel and tracks the race, the human race, and indicates possible branches, possible alternatives and possible choice scenarios and projects them into the future, and we can see the results of that projection in film form. So in essence the film is ongoing, the film never really finishes. A further key point is the film, when made, will be free on the internet, and it will be vignettes that reflect accurately people's three-dimensional lives, but with overlays of fourth, fifth, other dimensions, or at least indicators of those other dimensions, and indicate the interactivity of humans, the planet and the cosmos, and everything that comes in between.
Can you give me an example of one of these overlays or one of these vignettes?
I would generally focus on what can be described loosely as normal lives, because that's the vast majority of humanity. And as we are all human, and we see through the same eyes, and we hear through the same ears, but we interpret what we see, hear and experience in various ways, but we all have a deep understanding of existence. But what we lack is an overview. What we lack is a perception that somehow we all individually are important, and even more so collectively, because we can create, in fact we can co-create and will create a future, in fact our future.
Okay, I'm still a little unclear as to the basic structure, if you like, or the format. How do you envisage making the film? Start from the first premise.
The first premise is that we, as a race, need to remember Gaia. That doesn't only mean remembering, but reattach, reconnect.
Fine. In what way does the film, or yes, in what way would the film help us to do that?
The film will depict the Hollywood version of events, but with overlays that inform, educate, and in fact have wisdom around very specific mystical, esoteric ideas. For example, karma and reincarnation.
Presumably computer graphics are going to come into this in a big way. Animatronics, things like this.
Computer graphics will be absolutely essential to depict the kind of otherworldly scenarios. We are so closed. Shut this out. So a handful alive on the planet have witnessed the various otherworldly experiences, but it is a handful.
Okay.
But it is in fact available to all. This film will show ways to this.
Can you give us an idea of your opening scene? How would the film actually start?
The film would begin with Om, which is the primal sound from which all creation ultimately came from. The film would then open directly into a living room or someone's normal, they're cooking, they're eating, a very, very normal activity.
Right.
And then it would backtrack and connect to events in the past where the characters of the film had a pre-existence and then connect back to another pre-existence, and it would indicate what they had, what they come into this life with. That would be an avenue to demonstrate how, right at this moment, this present time, one can alter that for the future, not just for oneself, but for all one's protagonists, and ultimately the whole race.
Are you intending to use known actors? Are you intending to use people who with any acting ability, or is this going to be a very sort of Cassavetes type experience? Are you going to use people who know how to act, or are you going to take people from the street and say, I just want to film you cooking a meal or something?
The way this will ultimately work will be via resonance. In other words, all concerned with the manufacture and creation of this film, this project, will resonate around very specific understandings about man and man's place in the universe. Only in that way will the correct energy be present, formed within the medium, the celluloid or the magnetic base.
Can anyone be involved in this film?
The film will be available and open to anyone who has very specific ideas and can offer help and assistance in all the main areas of film making.
Right now, reverting to a basic concept, my understanding is that this is going to be an open-ended film. It's simply going to keep going. It's going to be broadcast on the internet on an ongoing basis. Is that correct? Or not?
The initial film will be a standard 2-hour, roughly, feature type film. But the essence of the film is that it will be a reflection of our life and our path as a race. The film will be ultimately financed by persons not concerned with profit. An element, a strong element of this film is that it's not profit motivated. In fact, the opposite. It's a giving back, it's a returning.
So anyone with filmmaking experience in any of the departments connected with the making of a movie, you see lighting, sound technicians, people with acting experience, makeup experience, all these aspects go into making a film as far as I know. They also obviously have to go into yours. So you're going to want technicians from all these areas.
Absolutely. Of course, there's many creative people out there, and I think that unfortunately it's a money-making scheme, and true artistic, creative endeavour, certainly in the mystical sense, hardly ever, or in fact never, appears in this medium. For this to work, ultimately, the power base that controls this process needs to shift. This is a new energy, and we are creating a new paradigm to shift that power base.
Do you have a script that you're going to be working with for this film?
I am in communication with someone who has a script for a very specific vignette. She lives in Australia. I'm not entirely sure whether she's up to speed with what I'm doing right now. This is possibly certainly a different angle. My view is that the creative endeavour of humanity can be focused through the film-making medium.
You don't think that that's been accomplished before?
Of course, there's many very, very good films. To my knowledge, I've not seen a film or heard of anybody who's seen a film or made a film that concerns itself with the mystical path. There are many mystical books and there's many mystical processes. The film, I feel, is important as a basis for large numbers of humanity to understand why they walk the face of the planet.
In attempting to convey through a visual medium the basic, or the answers to some of the basic questions. Presumably these are your answers or your understanding of what humanity is here for. Is that correct? You're the director, are you not?
Somehow, my life has brought me to this point. I guess like most people, we envisaged an Armageddon scenario around Y2K, before or after. Personally, I've moved right out of doom and gloom scenarios. I now feel we collectively can co-create a new future with a new energy.
And you wish to express your vision of this co-creation through this film, is that right?
This film cannot be made without others who resonate around this understanding, or these understandings. With the understanding of the 100th Monkey Principle, by the sheer fact that I'm here doing this, there are others thinking, feeling, functioning along these lines. Can we connect? I certainly hope so. The internet for me, and the whole fabric of the internet, is a reflection of the interconnectivity of humanity. We can connect across borders, across colour, across language, across race. We will be forming an indigenous peoples across all barriers, and these will be true Earth humans.
Would you, I have a question connected with the kind of people who are likely to land on your beach, as I use the expression, okay? It's sort of derivative of surfing the web, right? What is the name of your website?
It's Remembering Gaia.
Right. And your email address?
Is Intergalactic Star Wizard #1.
Right. By those labels, are you not confining your message or your desire to get this cooperative venture out to as many people as possible? Aren't you shooting yourself in the foot immediately by limiting yourself to the people who are basically going to find your website? It's going to be a minority, surely.
The energy created by a few around a very specific energy, which is what this will be, is all that's necessary. By process of rhythmic entrainment, others will be drawn. If I am not 1,000 years too far into the future, if this is not too early for mankind, which I don't believe it is, then there will be others drawn via the method of a tuning fork.
Okay. I'm a computer geek who's interested in sci-fi and the New Age. I live in Sedona. I'm surfing the web one starry night and I come across Intergalactic Star Wizard 1. And what I see is you. I listen to your video about what you're doing and I become tremendously excited. What do I do?
You contact me, and the next process after contact is we kick the ideas around. When we have the structure to make the movie, in other words, all the relevant parts, which means script, which means director, which means producer, etc., cameraman, lighting engineers, etc. These are the people that we will connect with to make this.
All right, now I'm beginning to understand. Okay, so basically what you are appealing for, what you're asking for, via the medium of the internet, you're asking for people of like resonance to contact you if they have appropriate movie-making creative skills.
Exactly, it's the movie-making skills, but primarily it's the ideas and understanding.
Do you yourself, or have you yourself had any experience of filmmaking?
I have no experience of filmmaking.
Do you regard that as a disadvantage or an advantage?
I regard that as an advantage.
In what way?
It allows me to come to the whole business in a very fresh way. I'm coming to the business, in fact, not as a business. In fact, I'm coming to the business, in fact coming to this point from the perspective that something esoterically needs to be in this medium.
Okay. How long do you envisage it would take for you to pool and gather together like-minded people?
This could be done within a year and conceivably within 6 months.
So within 6 months to a year, you would hope to be in a position to begin shooting.
We get the people, we get the money. It's that simple.
Right, let's look at the money side. Where would the money come from?
The world is awash with money. Unfortunately, it's in ever-diminishing circles in the hands of an ever-diminishing smaller number of people. They feel under threat. They are under threat. This is the Lamb.
Excuse me?
The return of the Lamb.
The return of the lamb.
The biblical Lamb.
The biblical lamb. Sorry, I was thinking of Welsh lamb there for a moment.
I love it. That is brilliant. The meek
The
shall.
return of the lamb chop.
The meek shall inherit the earth.
The meat shall inherit the earth. The meek. The meek meat. Okay. All right, let's focus on, again, the idea of making a film. My feeling is that you may get response from movie buffs, people with digital camcorders, people who just like the movies, like I do, right? But who have no idea of how actually to begin making a film. I don't see, initially, where you're going to get your actors and actresses from. And do they need to be actors, or can they be anybody?
As regards the acting side of it, there is a general shift away from the type of energy that exists in places such as Hollywood. England is known for making more sensitive films. Sensitivity is certainly a facet, but it's a deep understanding of the connectedness of everything that's intrinsic. Actors, actresses need that connection. They need to feel that connection. So that is the criteria. The others concerned with it, the others concerned with the creation of it, if you like, the workers, they also need a similar connection so that the energy of the creation transmits to the audience.
Right. But let me get this point clear in my mind. There is going to be no, or am I right in thinking that there is no profit return in the old sense in this film? Say that a camera technician volunteers 6 months of his life, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours a week, or whatever it is. Is he going to be reimbursed at the end of that, or is he going to have done it as a labour of love because he shares your concept of humanity's future? Is that his reward?
The film works as a focus, and the film will become a channel. The film being the centre from which people to which people can identify, they therefore become connected to the film because they are interested in the film or they're actually part of the film. They begin to pool their resource. So whatever their resource is, whether it's minute in terms of finance, in terms of property, whatever, they pool that. So then they become effectively trading with each other. Do you personally have any idea at all of how expensive it is to actually make a film? This film could be made for $1.5 million.
Okay, $1.5 million, so about £1 million.
Yeah, about £1 million.
Why that figure? Why do you come up with that figure? How long do you maintain shooting? The shooting would take.
The Blair Witch Project was made for, I believe, $60,000, and it effectively is a blockbuster. This isn't the interest. This isn't the focus. This film will be so much money because of the amount of computer generation required
Right.
to explain in the best possible way our otherworldly connections.
I understand that you would like to be considered for a part in this film.
Yes.
Do you have any acting ability?
Yes.
Yes. What would you care to share with some of your past experiences of acting with us?
Are you eating, Dave? Or are you going to eat, or what do we?
We're just interviewing one of the first people to resonate with the film. No, come on, don't slink. Stand up, you're disappearing from camera. All right.
The motive, at least one of the motives for this film, is that the just went completely taste off.
Well, you're talking, just a moment ago in the break, you were talking about the possibility of creating a new political, social, transformational platform.
That's it.
A new paradigm.
This film, based on the web as a website, will be a portal, and it will be a portal in the creation of a new financial, political and social system, and it will be for us to create this financial, social system. Anything channeled through this portal, energy, love, money, expertise, creativity, whatever, will be, the results of this will be seen. It will be completely transparent. It will be a large database within which anyone can access, anyone involved can access and witness. In fact, anyone can access it.
In a discussion I was enjoying with you last week, I seem to remember, and if I'm wrong you'll correct me, I'm sure, I seem to remember you saying that there was the possibility that the film could have any ending that any individual wanted.
From the perspective of a potential investor, then one would need to see the potential for return. The website will have what could be termed trailers of this movie. Anyone interested in the full story, the film can create various endings, and they can buy those endings on disc. That money will then be invested in the project Recreating Gaia, a transparent political, financial, social system in the making.
To what end?
For the racial future that we now create. I see this as a methodology, personally, and I would hope others have similar answers to the great question of us, where we're going and what are we doing. If we continue at this rate and the destruction of Gaia, we don't have a future. But I totally believe we have now turned the corner, and we are now, right now, creating, co-creating our future. This film is an important, I see, facet in this process.
Action. I'd like to ask a few more technical questions, if I may,
You may?
because the technical aspects of this I already find completely stupefying. For instance, where would the film be shot?
The locations will be based on the scripts that arise. These scripts, the screenplay will need to be able to relate to various points in our history and our potential future. So therefore, the settings and the vignettes will relate to any historical era and future eras.
Okay. Are we then looking at a heavy investment in costume drama? Are you looking at an extensive historical, cultural wardrobe here, or are you going to do it with everybody dressed in Levi's and T-shirts, irrespective of the historical period purportedly being depicted?
I see as important the actual garb of the era, but I also see minimum actors and actresses because what needs to be perceived is the human interaction and the level of that interaction, and that individually and in small groups and in large groups we can alter our current condition. As I see it, and I think others also, we are on an endless treadmill of reincarnation with constantly exchanging karma and very little move forward, although having passed a very critical time for the race, as I personally believe, we are now into a new energy, and therefore we must, at least some have shifted our centre of gravity more towards God, for want of a better word. Well, Dave, do you really understand that the film is an event, but an event that we are interacting with on a moment-by-moment basis, and that by the processing of the film with the creative endeavours of all concerned resonating at this energetic level, then within that film we can create a new future, a future for the race collectively.
I don't see how do you come to that? How, in the creation of a film, the like of which you're describing, how does that help? How does that affect the future of the race? I can't make that.
There are many esoteric schools, and there always have been esoteric schools. Without these esoteric schools, without these spiritual individuals, the planet would just not be here. There would be nothing green, there would be nothing in the oceans, there wouldn't be any oceans, the birds would drop out of the sky. It was a very unpleasant scenario if it weren't for the wise, if it weren't for the elect, using two Sufi terms.
Well, a paleontologist would probably disagree with you, wouldn't he?
I would think there'd be many people.
There were
that
life
would
forms
disagree
on
with
there
me.
were life forms on the planet. There were trees growing. The ants and the insects have been around for millions, hundreds of millions of years, long before apparently Homo sapiens sapiensis graced the planet with his presence.
Of course, but the planet and that level of being was waiting, was processing until the arrival of the human life form, and then the full embodiment of the human life stream. To some degree, the essence of the human life stream has always been here, even when it was a ball of molten fire.
Okay, can we get a little more serious and a little more specific now about yourself? Okay, I have it on record that you are, or could be regarded as an incarnate master.
Dave, you're crazy.
Would you deny this?
Okay, well, my personal view, which I have arrived at
Yes.
through my experience of my life,
Yes.
leads me to this point, and this point indicates that either me personally or a handful somehow have incredible deep connection to other solar systems, therefore other planets, and have had many existences, and that the Earth experience arose with a very specific purpose, and that purpose was that giving entities free will in a three-dimensional existence, that no matter what, they will return to unity, to the experience of love.
Yes, you haven't really answered my question.
And that entities were sent, they were, as an act of selflessness, chose to arise and enter the three-dimensional reincarnational experience, if you like, stormtroopers.
So are you saying that you are an intergalactic stormtrooper?
Yes.
Would you
Wacky, I know.
would you care to be more specific? Could you be more specific?
Somehow, I think this is an experience for many. I have never truly felt connected to various aspects, or in fact most aspects of humanity. I don't know if anyone has seen The Matrix, but there's a sequence in The Matrix where he imagines himself, or they are placed within what is a film sequence, and there's crowds around them. It's a city, it's a densely populated city, and he arrests the film. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm moving about. I guess there are others, I'm not alone. And for me there are other connections to people and events that ring truer than 99.9% of my existence here.
Right.
I guess for me, two key things. One, the doom and gloom. It didn't happen. The Grand Cross, the 9th of the 9th, the Y2K, the projections of being hit by large celestial objects, the meteorite storm, none of it happened. That leads me to conclude that we have turned the corner. We are now in a new energy, hence why I'm sitting now in front of this camera being videoed. Something that in my life I could never ever dream in my wildest fantasies.
Simply because these things haven't happened in the time scale that they were supposed to have happened, does not necessarily mean that some of them may not still happen. How do you come to the conclusion that because people, clairvoyants, prophecies which were made by individuals essentially, because they have been proven to be wrong, or because there has been an obsession with the date change and the end of the second millennium, that doesn't necessarily mean anything other than that clairvoyance is notoriously and traditionally in error when it comes to specific times. But the broad brush event is often true.
It relates far more personally to the amount of effort, energy that many millions placed in these doom and gloom scenarios, and that somehow, even though, if you like, they were intending this to be brought about, it was not brought about. So the timescale is significant because these were times when the intention was that they needed to be brought about by millions of people. In fact, nothing has happened, so the balance is obviously in the favour of a positive, continuing outcome.
Well, I put it to you, invoking the divine spirit of Sir Robin Day and Jeremy Paxman, that you are completely wrong on this point. You say that the doom and gloom has not occurred, but in fact it is occurring as we speak, in terms of the world's climate, in terms of what a consensus of scientists now agree is severe and effectively unstoppable global warming, with all those consequences that have been written about. In other words, the clock is running, and the best case scenario is that we perhaps have 30 years before life starts to change radically, before there are water wars, for instance. So I don't quite understand how you can have the position that we've turned the corner and now we're free to co-create the future we want, because the consequences of our past actions are still to be reaped. Do you have a comment on that?
At the cellular level, we have deep memory of past terminations. We are well aware of the energy around these terminations, hence the doom and gloom scenario. We collectively, although I agree externally, much is still to be done and much is in turmoil. But I see that turning this corner, we are free with this new energy to create a new future. Remembering Gaia, co-creating the racial future with the new Remembering Gaia, co-creating the racial future with the new paradigm in the new energy. Okay. This is how I see, this is what I see in fact. I see many throughout the planet ploughing a very lonely furrow. They have resource, everyone has resource. Everyone, no matter how starving or how rich, has a resource. If nothing else, they have their thoughts. And thoughts are things, and thoughts are absolutely critical. How do they connect? How do they know each other? Around what idea do they collect? Around what understanding do they collect? At some level they are connected, we're all connected. At this level, not so. I see the internet and the World Wide Web as a connection, a very important connection, and the sheer fact that it's here around us allows me to sit here at this video and do exactly what I'm doing. So we can connect with our limited resource using the film as a portal. With this resource, we connect to a database of others with resource. We will nurture this resource and we will exchange and we will create a new politics, a new finance, a new social world.
A new social order.
I don't like the word order, but yes.
How is your film, how is the creation of this film, this multi-dimensional film, how is that going to practically impact a sufficient number of people to make any difference to the current global paradigm? Because that's basically why you want to make the film, isn't it? To change, to help to change the existing paradigm.
The film works as a connection for all interested, resonant individuals. And they feel a part of something. They can feel a part of change. They can feel the new energy coursing through them. And that transmits to the film. The film, when shown, will also influence and entrain in a resonant fashion our deep cellular understanding. It's a tool for awakening. It's a tool. Money is a tool. Everything we do in life is a tool. Thoughts are tools. We as individuals and we collectively are constantly in the process of creation. at whatever level. Some with wisdom, most without. This is a process of placing wisdom into celluloid.
Well, we've come because we're interested in being a part of this venture.
Okay, Dave, what
But
is
I
it?
really don't know how one connects practically with this venture. So I am now presenting my daughter and myself. We would like to participate in some way in the film. How do we do that?
First off, do you resonate with the ideas? Do you understand the process? Do you want to be involved with this process? The process of great change. The process involving this new energy. So in other words, the question is yours to answer. What do you have to offer it?
Well, if I answered the question in the following way, I would say that in my own lonely furrow, as you describe it, I am involved in change. I am involved on a daily basis with the process of transformation and change.
As I know you, Dave, I know that to be true. Are you co-creating with others? This is the issue. This film, in the process of it being made, is a connection of ideas, a linking of ideas around an expression, a creative expression, to entrain the race. Okay, there's been many individuals, and the world is still full of individuals, and I've accepted and agreed and understand that there's always been enlightened beings and beings in the processes of enlightenment. I see that symbolically, the internet and the web and the current strength, if you like, of the energy, it is now time for change, great change. And that individuals can group and create group change, not just dotted, enlightened beings.
Okay. Could I apply for the role of makeup artist to any ladies with big bosoms?
Get in the queue.
Dad, you are so typical.
We're rolling. You've mentioned that there is a script written by an Australian lady, a colleague, a friend of yours, right?
This is true.
Can you give us an idea of, can you give us a synopsis? What is the script about? What is the film about?
The civilizer. Throughout the time of man, there has been many civilizers. Viracocha, Quetzalcoatl, Osiris, civilizers. When man was brought to his knees by terminations or whatever scenario, either climactic wars, famines, whatever, brought man to his knees, or basic racial termination, then who arrived? What arrived? The civilizer. The civilizer is a high order energy, and the understanding comes down to us largely mythologically, which in fact is the best way for transmission. Our most important and relevant ancient transmissions are verbal, and they're in the form of singing stories. And they recount times, very ancient times, of great change, and they involve these kinds of individuals. These individuals brought language, architecture, mathematics, the basics for civilization. They are a civilizing influence. The film will depict this influence.
Is there then going to be, in a sense, a leading male role, a male actor, to play the civilizer?
This is so.
This is so. Is it going to be the same face? Is it going to be the same actor throughout the film? Or is it going to be different ones, different times?
The initial film will be substantially in the normal mould of a film, as a groundbreaker, an icebreaker, whichever way you want to view it, with limited other world processes or limited understandings of other world processes. As this gains momentum, then, and as humanity changes, then the reflection which the film will be will also shift in parallel. This film, I'm expressing it personally in my perspective. If there are others that can see a hook and a resonance and a way of, yeah, okay, I've got this, yeah, I'm going to go with this, then you start to pool the resource and then it begins to form. This is true of any endeavour, any human endeavour. How did they build the Great Pyramid? How do they build the dome? Whatever. How does someone dig their garden? It's a creative endeavour.
All right, so basically you're asking for people to connect with you, people who resonate to the idea, to the concept, right?
Yes, it's
leaving
true.
aside the details.
Exactly. At this stage, the details need to be minimal. A number of key words, a number of key understandings is essential.
All right. So it's a cooperative effort, as the making of any film is.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Each person will feel their role and they will be equal. All will be equal, the director, the producer, whoever, the actors, they will...
There will be no remuneration, though, will there?
The initial film will be fully funded.
By?
The idea is that we create the energy of the people, but so their resonant energy, it's a factor of to the power of 4. So 10 people can produce the effect of 100,000 people. This is the core concept of it. Then once we've formulated the idea within a group scenario, then we take it to individuals who will finance it.
Okay.
So we all get paid. Not so that we can do anything with the money, so that it covers our bills. The ongoing then becomes something very different. Okay, right, you've reached me. On reaching me, don't just click off. Just bear with me for now. What was the next bit, Dave?
Just bear with me for a few minutes,
Yeah.
right? Wherever you are.
Oh yeah, wherever you are, or America, Africa, Asia, wherever.
Right. I just want to share with... Sorry, this is just like a jotter, right?
Yeah.
This part. So it's because it's all sectioned. I just want to share my vision
Okay.
of a possible future which you could be actively
Yeah.
involved with.
I want to share a possible vision of the future which you can and will be active with.
Okay, can we? I'm gonna pan out, right? And we're gonna go for a Lord Kitchener shot, right? Your country needs you. So
I like
can you
it.
raise the right hand?
Yeah.
That's slightly. Yeah, don't obscure it now. Your right. That's it. Okay.
Okay, I like it.
Do it again.
Okay. Your planet needs you.
Lovely. I think I can do a little better than that.
No, but Daddy, why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't know.
To get to the other side.
I never knew that. I've never heard that joke before. That is very funny. It's very good.
Dad.
It's very good. Do you have another joke for us?
What do you call it? What would a fly called if it didn't have any wings?
Bug.
No,
Tell us.
a walk.
This is 21st century humour. A walk. It's not a fly, it's a walk. Okay. Yes. Totally brilliant. How's school?
So-so.
So-so.
No,
Why is it only so-so?
because the teacher's not nice.
The teachers are not nice.
Well, my teacher isn't nice.
Oh, well, that's new. When did this happen? Why is she not nice anymore?
Because she takes house points off for nothing.
She takes house points off for nothing.
Yeah.
All you have to do is get a petition of all the girls together and send it to Mrs. Morani. Threaten to go on strike.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, well, all right. Anything else you want to say?
Daddy,
Yes.
I love you.
I love you.
Oh, you sweetheart. Look at that face. All right, anything else?
Daddy,
Yes?
I love you.
Oh, all right, that's lovely. Anyone else you want to send your love to? Mummy. Yes,
Mummy.
of course. Mummy. Right. Anybody else?
Family.
Family, yes. Okay. The clock is running. Do you want to say anything?
I know, Daddy, tell your joke now.
Tell my joke?
Yeah,
Which
the one
j-
about the plane.
Oh, no.
Oh,
That's it.
please, no, that's
No.
really good, that's really good.
No.
I'll tell it.
Go
No,
on, you got 1 minute. Go
One
on.
minute. Oh, I can't tell it in 1 minute.
Go on.
I can't.
Well, just start.
Okay. There was a plane flying across the sea, and what happened, Daddy?
Yeah, you little sluz.
Oh yeah, and it lost an engine.
Right.
And so the captain came in and said, "I'm sorry, but we've lost an engine."
Stop wiggling your hands. That's it. Look at the camera. Good.
And was it then that he said we've got to throw all the baggage out, or is it the second engine?
Yes, that's right.
The second engine.
No, that's at that point.
And the captain says we have to throw away all the luggage.
Correct.
Then the second engine goes.
Correct.
And then what happens, Daddy?
Forgotten.
Dad!
Go on.
So is it then that he says we have to sacrifice?
That's right. We have to sacrifice all the children on board.
Dad, enough, that isn't it. The captain said we have to sacrifice some people.
Mm.
And so
Look at the camera.
at last a Frenchman comes
Right.
and says
And says what?
I can't remember.
Vive la France. What do Frenchmen always say? Vive la France.
Bonjour.
No, bonjour. All right.
Okay, no, that isn't it. That isn't it, Dad.
No, come on.
No, wait.
This is your moment of
then
stardom.
An American man stands
Yes.
up and goes to, was it
A Mexican.
a Mexican, and throws him overboard
And says what?
and says,
Remember?
the animal.
Yes. Well done. Thank you very much, young star.
I guess in closing, I would like to say that this is a message in love, and that I feel we, as tiny ants in the face of a great behemoth, can actually together do something to change the root and branch of the current world view and the current power base of the world. This is not anarchistic in nature at all. In fact, this will run parallel to any existing known process. What will slowly happen will be, in the initial phases, a slow alteration and channeling of the instrument called money, and that at some point there will coalesce a three-dimensional worldview which will stand as a choice between one world, the old energy, another world, the new energy. The new energy will be based ultimately in love, and it will be based in humanity, and it will be based in co-creative endeavour for the good of all. This is not an individual power-based scenario. How I've reached this point is because two things occurred. There was no Y2K, there was no doom and gloom scenario, and the World Wide Web and the internet happened to be a way of connecting people across all barriers. If this resonates, then do contact me, and I'm sure that together we can co-create our future in the new paradigm with the new energy. I love you all.